Hey there. You're listening to the quiet between the noise, a space where your mind can rest and the weight of the day gently fades away. Here, there's no rush, no pressure, just soft whispers, gentle pauses, and a place for you to simply breathe. So go ahead, get cozy. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts drift like slow-moving clouds. You've done enough, and you deserve to rest. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. This is your time now to unwind, to let go, and to gently drift into sleep. Tonight's story is just about to begin. Parasite Part 1: The First Cough. I don't remember the last time the sky was blue. Then again, it doesn't really matter anymore. Now, even the air itself is something to be suspicious of. I'm Lena Voss, and I survived. Before the world collapsed, I was a resident doctor at District 9 Central Hospital in St. Louis. I used to have dreams, a shift schedule, patients, a boyfriend. Now all I have is a torn gas mask, a backpack, and a box of meds that expired 2 years ago. The outbreak, they called it the parasite, didn't arrive the way the movies predicted. No dramatic alarms, no chaos from the start. It was quiet, like a soft cough, like a scratch behind the neck. And then, nothing. We didn't know where it came from. A crowded ER, an unnamed patient, a doctor touching a stethoscope without disinfecting it, a nurse who forgot her gloves, a sneeze in the elevator. I remember the first day I heard that cough. It came from my young patient, Abby, 12 years old, with pneumonia of unknown origin. She looked at me with red, teary eyes, coughed non-stop, then smiled, as if apologizing for the trouble. I smiled back. Then she stopped coughing and never breathed again. No one understood what was happening. Next was Nurse Jillian, then Dr. Harrow, then my boyfriend, Nick. He said it was just a cold, but within 3 days his eyes changed color. Then his skin turned dull, and then he vanished. No one died. They disappeared. No bodies, no screams, just an empty room, a pile of abandoned clothes, and a stain on the floor, like someone had melted. I survived because, I don't know, maybe because I never touched Abby. Maybe because I drank some cleaning solution while scrubbing the morgue. Or maybe I'm already infected, and the parasite is just asleep inside me. Now I hide in the basement of an old pharmacy. Every night I write down what I remember, like a final note to someone. If there's still a someone out there besides me. Outside, the world is eerily quiet. No car horns, no people, only the wind. And the faintest sound of a cough echoing in the distance, as if it's coming from deep inside me. Part 2. The gray stain. I don't know why I'm still alive. After so many, friends, co-workers, neighbors, all vanished in silence. Here I am, still sitting, scribbling on the back of an expired cold medicine box. Maybe I'm afraid that if I stop writing, I'll stop existing. Or worse, I'll start becoming one of them. I call them because I have no better word. They're not zombies, not monsters, no bodies, no screams. Only what they leave behind, dropped belongings, the damp breath lingering in the air, and that strange gray ash-like stain on the wall where they once stood. That stain is the only clue, and I've started seeing it everywhere. This morning I went back to the hospital. A stupid decision, I know. But if I didn't go, I would have gone insane in the darkness of that basement. I needed light. I needed to believe there was a way out. District 9 Central Hospital used to be the loudest place in the city. Now it's a hollow corpse. Hallways pitch black, emergency lights flickering like the place is still breathing on some broken artificial rhythm. Every step echoed like a hammer to my chest. The 3rd floor, the infectious disease ward, is where I ran into my memories. Room 312 still had the nameplate Abigail M. on the door. Inside, the folding bed was still there, sheets wrinkled and unmade. And on the wall, exactly where Abby once sat, was a long gray smear trailing down to the floor. I stepped closer. The mark was pale like cooled ash, but when I touched it, it was still warm. I backed away. The metallic scent lingered, and then came a small sound behind me. Not footsteps, a cough, hoarse and dry. I turned around. No one, just the dim light flickering. I retreated, ran to the stairwell, heart pounding like war drums. But when I reached the first floor, I saw the lab door slightly ajar. Inside was something I couldn't ignore. A row of freezers, centrifuge machines, a whiteboard covered in biohazard symbols. Something had been studied here. Not a common virus, not the flu. A parasite. I flipped through a file folder. On the cover, stamped in red, Project, Neuroparasite Classification, Biosafety Level 5, Status, Failed. I stood there in silence for several seconds, and then I coughed. Part 3, Traces in the Blood. The cough didn't last long. It was dry, sharp, like a blade slicing through my throat, and left only a hollow echo inside my head. I forced myself to swallow. No blood, no phlegm, just the distinct sensation that something was moving inside my throat. I couldn't let myself cough again. I pulled out the last bottle of filtered water from my backpack, rinsed my mouth, then kept flipping through the remaining files in the lab. This place wasn't a standard frontline laboratory. It had been hidden, probably operated under military control or by a private research unit contracted by the government. In one of the frayed documents, I read the following line: Neuroparasite experiment involves respiratory transmission. The parasite does not destroy the host, but instead assimilates neural pathways, subconsciously controlling behavior. Hosts become carriers without ever knowing. I let the file fall from my hands. A chill ran down my spine. Not destruction, not death, but control. I thought back to Nick's vacant eyes during his last days. He wasn't in pain. He wasn't afraid. He was just empty, as if listening to commands from somewhere else. And then he disappeared. No one ever found out where he went. I collapsed into a chair, my head spinning. Another page read, Stage 3. Subjects often begin with a mild cough, followed by insomnia, memory lapses, and repeated involuntary behavior. Dissolution occurs when the parasite completes the transfer of consciousness. Transfer, I suddenly remembered what I had with me. An old test kit I'd salvaged from the ER before the hospital was abandoned. If I could just test my blood? I laid everything out on the table. A needle, a cotton pad, one bright red drop onto the glass slide. I held my breath as I adjusted the focus under the microscope. And then I saw it. It wasn't blood, not just blood. Something was swimming inside it. Tiny black specks moving with intention. Not bacteria, not any known kind of parasite. They looked like neurons, but forged from liquid metal. A biological system that seemed more intelligent than anything I had ever studied in med school. They formed networks, like a brain. I leaned back in the chair, staring up at the ceiling. I was infected. I might be under control, then not even realize it. And worse, I might be the last living link left to pass it on. Part 4. Control. Now I know something I didn't want to know. These parasites, aren't a disease, not a virus. They are another form of life, intelligent and insidious, not just existing within the human body, but taking over the consciousness, manipulating behavior. I've been infected. I can feel it deep within me, like a shadow steadily spreading. There were times I thought I was just a little tired, but now, as I look closely at my blood samples, I see that my nervous system is being overtaken. My brain cells no longer belong to me. I stand up from the old chair and look at myself in the broken mirror on the wall. My face is still intact, but my eyes, they seem to be gazing somewhere far away, a place I cannot reach. It's me, but not me. They're starting to control. Though I still believe I can maintain control, the truth is, I can't stop sensing its presence in every cell. These parasites don't just invade the body, they penetrate deep into consciousness. They can hear my thoughts. They know what I'm thinking. I look into the microscope again. Below, the black dots are moving swiftly, linking together into a strange shape, as if they're building something, a brain structure. I touch my forehead where sharp pains had once appeared. It feels like a sudden sting, as if someone is manipulating my brain from afar. What do I do now? Can I resist them? Can I find a way to kill it? But then I remember what was in the files. When these parasites take full control, the host no longer differentiates between themselves and them. And then, over time, when the parasite has completed the transfer of consciousness, the infected person will completely disappear. We become part of it. And I see it for the first time, something like a wave spreading in my mind, not sound, not images, but a feeling. Lena, obey, lead. We need to continue. A whisper, not from me, but from inside me. That's when I realized I'm no longer myself. I am becoming part of it. I fall to my knees, no strength left to stand, not from exhaustion, but because something unfamiliar is controlling me. And I heard it again. Lena, you are the key. Part 5. The control. I couldn't believe what was happening to me, but I could no longer ignore it. Something was controlling me, something beyond my control. I stood up, trembling, and then stepped out of the laboratory. The environment around me began to blur, not from smoke or dust, but from a feeling of disconnect. I could no longer clearly sense what was happening around me. My steps seemed not my own. Lena, stop. The voice echoed in my head, not my own. It was the same as before, cold and impossible to refuse. My head ached, and the whispers inside grew louder, as though a crowd was yelling at me from afar. I couldn't turn them off. These parasites had not just invaded my body. They were controlling me. A chill rushed over me. I raised my hand to my forehead where it began to feel like it was burning. The small black dots, the brain cells that had been altered, had been transformed in my blood. We must continue. The whisper echoed again, not just in my head, but as if it were part of me. It was a feeling of power, a power that I couldn't resist, yet didn't want to. It urged me to comply. I should have been afraid, but instead, I felt calm. Calm in a way I couldn't explain. They didn't want to kill me. Not yet. They wanted me to become part of them. I didn't know how long had passed, but when I came to, I found myself standing at the doorway. My legs had no sensation, but I walked forward, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I looked outside through the glass window and immediately realized something had happened. The cars on the road had stopped, people were standing still like statues, and a strange silence had enveloped the city. It was them. It was them. These parasites hadn't just invaded me, they were spreading. I could no longer run. I had become part of their system. My eyes saw strange images in my mind, like fragments of a story yet to be told. Abandoned streets, people no longer conscious like me. They had taken over everything. A new fear surged within me. If I couldn't find a way out of this control, I would forever be a part of it. But could I escape? Suddenly, I felt a shift in my body. A strange flow. Not blood, but something else. It started from within me, but I wasn't controlling it. Instead, it began to control me. I realized there was no turning back. These parasites had bonded with me, become part of me, and I couldn't escape from them. Part 6. The Choice. I have gone through a long journey, not of distance or physical challenges, but a journey within myself. As long as I live, I will never forget the feelings of that time, the numbness in my head, the fear spreading through my body, and the presence of them inside me like an invisible ghost. But I can still sense something. There may still be a chance to regain control. Is it the weak resistance inside me, or just the foolish thoughts of someone who is about to be completely overtaken? I don't know anymore. What have these parasites done to me? And the more terrifying question, what are they doing to the world outside? If they can control me, an ordinary person, then this world, the people I once loved, the people I once respected, could become puppets in their hands. I stand by the window looking outside. The city remains silent. The cars stopped. No sound, no movement. Everything seems like a lifeless painting. But I know this silence is not stopping. It's progress. They are expanding. They are conquering the world. And I am a part of this change. Lena, don't resist. The voice echoes in my head like a sermon. They have become part of me. And I know I can't resist forever. I can't prolong this useless resistance. But maybe there's another way. These parasites are not a virus. They are not a disease. They are a form of life, an intelligent and strategic species. They don't just occupy the body. They take over the mind, the soul. I realized that back when I was in the lab. The cells, the blood samples, they all showed that these parasites didn't just want to exist, they wanted to dominate. I must find a way to stop them. But how? How much time do I have left? My eyes glisten, searching my mind for the last thoughts I can control. And I remember something. They have changed me, but I can also change them. My body is no longer just mine, but I know my mind is still mine. With every thought, every feeling, I can divert them. I can find a way to disrupt their system. They are strong, they are smart, but they are not perfect. Yes, I can create a hole in my body, a weakness they didn't anticipate. A plan forms in my mind. I can't do this alone. I need to find a way to connect with others. Those I can still help before it's too late. I can't face this evil alone. But what I didn't expect was that my steps were no longer my own. They had taken control of everything. We have chosen you, Lena. You will lead. The whisper grows stronger, as if everything inside me is rebelling, but can't break free. Something huge and powerful is pulling me in. Just one more moment, and I will be completely part of them. But no, I don't want to. I can't. I take a deep breath. I must fight. Part 7. The Final Journey. The night had fallen, but I could no longer feel the passing of time. Everything around me was still, no sound, no movement. It was as though time itself had frozen. There was only me, standing at the center of a world on the brink of being torn apart. The parasites were taking over everything, not just me, but all of humanity. They had spread through the air, through the water, through every object, and now I was no longer a normal person. I was one of them, but I didn't want to be. I looked at my hand, still the same old hand, but inside it I felt the change, not just physically, but in the very sensation. It was as if something was flowing through me, something I couldn't touch but could feel controlling me. Lena, we have chosen you. The whisper came again in my mind, soft and seductive. Sometimes I wondered if I was dreaming, or was this the reality I had to face? But then I remembered something I had discovered in the past few days. My mind. They could control my body, they could influence my basic thoughts, but I still had control over myself. If I couldn't fight them with my body, I would have to fight them with my mind. The system they had created was not perfect. They could control my body, but my mind was still mine. I didn't know if I could use that to break free from their control, but I had to try. I walked into the old laboratory, the place where it all began. It was here I would face myself. Here I would uncover the final secret about these creatures. If I could do anything to stop them, it had to start here. The feeling that I was no longer myself made me want to turn and run, but I couldn't. The more I avoided them, the stronger they became. The more I ignored them, the deeper they invaded my being. I couldn't give up. I entered the lab where everything looked the same as before. But now, there was no fear left in me. All that remained was an emptiness in my mind. "Lena, we have chosen you to lead." The whisper came again, clearer than ever before. I no longer had to struggle with the feeling of fear. Instead, I had only one choice left, to end it all or let them take one step further. If I continued, I would become part of them. But if I stopped, I could sever the connection. They would never control me again. My heart was filled with anxiety, but I knew I couldn't retreat. This was a life and death battle, and there was only one path forward. I began placing my hands on the old equipment in the lab, trying to find tools that could help me break free from their grasp. These parasites couldn't be easily destroyed. They couldn't be stopped by conventional means. But I couldn't give up. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain, as though my body was being torn apart piece by piece. I fell to the floor, still gripping the equipment tightly. A cold current of electricity ran through my body, paralyzing all my senses. That's when I realized I was touching something stronger than the parasites. It wasn't technology. It was an energy I had never felt before. It was the parasites. They were resisting. A thought flashed in my mind. If I could control this energy, I could reverse the process. I could find a way to rid myself of them for good. I didn't have much time. If I didn't act now, there would be no chance left. My hand still clutched the device, and a powerful surge of energy shot out, spreading throughout the laboratory. But the truth was, I didn't know if it would be enough to defeat the parasites. Could I sever the control? Could I regain my freedom? Part 8. The Breakthrough. I couldn't remember exactly when I fell to the floor, but I knew one thing. That cold sensation was unlike anything I had ever felt. I had come into contact with an energy I could not understand. It was like a dark force wrestling within me, trying to break apart whatever was left of myself. The pain from my body still tortured me, but I had no time for it. I couldn't allow myself to be weak. I had to keep fighting. Amid the excruciating pain, I felt as if I had become part of something larger, but I still couldn't accept it. They were not allowed to control me. I couldn't let them take this world. Then I heard a sound in my head, and this time it was different from before. It wasn't the soft whisper I had grown used to, but a mighty roar, powerful and commanding. "Lena, stop." I shut my eyes, feeling a presence stronger and more terrifying. It wasn't just the parasites, it was something far worse, something that surpassed everything I had known. A sound I recognized. The parasites were speaking to me, but not in sweet words as before. This was a threat, a warning. I still couldn't fully understand what was happening in my body. What was happening in my mind was a battle, not only with them, but with my own humanity. With every thought, I felt them taking more control of me. But then I remembered the memories from the lab, the samples, the research. They weren't perfect. And my mind, was still mine. This time I wasn't afraid. I was no longer someone trembling before an unseen force. I was Lena, and I would not let them take me any longer. "I won't let you control me." I felt a wave of resistance rising from within. Every parasite trying to invade me, trying to take control, but I refused to surrender. Suddenly, I felt a strange sensation, a power surging within me. It wasn't the parasites, it was me. From deep within myself, I could feel a well of inner strength I had never known before. What should I do next? I had to fight. There was no other choice. With a powerful move, I used my mind to tear the parasites away from my body. It wasn't a physical battle, but a mental one. A fight with myself, with what I had become. The tearing sensation from inside my body almost robbed me of my ability to think, but I couldn't give up. I pushed the pain away, the fear away, and kept fighting. "We are one, Lena. Don't resist us." The whisper came again, but this time I didn't feel fear. I was no longer a puppet. I was free. "Number, I'm not yours," I screamed, trying to focus all my strength on one point within my body. That hollow feeling, as if a part of me had been torn away, no longer belonged to me, was slowly being filled again with my own power. And suddenly, I felt them pull back. Not all of them, but enough for me to realize that I had regained control over my body. The parasites were no longer as powerful as before. My resistance had driven them back. I breathed heavily, feeling my body weaken. But it was a weakening with purpose. I no longer had to endure their control. Part 9. The Race Against Time. As the numbing pain began to subside, I opened my eyes to a space that felt hauntingly still and empty. No more whispers in my head, no more shifting sensations within my body. I had done something I never thought possible. I had reclaimed control. But the relief was fleeting. My eyes adjusted to the dim light filtering in from cracked, abandoned windows. The room around me was dead, long forgotten by time. Though I had won the battle within myself, the war outside was far from over. I thought of the others, those who might still be alive, still in danger. Everything I had witnessed, everything I had endured. It couldn't have been in vain. I couldn't just stand here, satisfied with surviving, while the world outside was still being consumed by the outbreak. And more than that, I couldn't be sure the parasites were truly gone. My body still felt on edge, and I couldn't trust its stability completely. She might be awake. The voice came from the doorway. I flinched, but didn't feel fear. I recognized it instantly. Dr. Cole, the man who had stood by me through every impossible moment of this ordeal. "Lena, are you all right?" he asked as he stepped in, his eyes filled with concern but also a quiet determination. "I'm okay, for now, but I can't stay here. There's still too much left to do." He gave me a steady look and took a deep breath. "I know you don't want to stop, but we need a clear plan. It's not just the parasites anymore. We have to face the consequences of this whole outbreak." He was right. The disease had spread too far, too fast. The parasites were just one piece of the puzzle. A storm was coming, a real one, and we couldn't hide behind fleeting victories. We have to find the origin. If we can stop the source, we can slow the spread. And the survivors, we need to help them. I forced myself to focus. Yes, I had won my inner war, but the real battle, the one that mattered, was just beginning. Dr. Cole looked at me with a mix of surprise and hope. "Do you really think we can do this?" "Yes. If we don't, then what's the point of surviving?" I replied without hesitation. He nodded. "Then we start over. We find the source. We shut it down. You've proven you can resist them. Now we finish the job." Even knowing how difficult it would be, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Purpose. If this was the only path to saving what remained of humanity, I'd take it, no matter what. Over the next few hours, we began forming a plan. We knew that my body had developed a kind of defense, but the parasites could still return if we didn't eliminate their root cause. I wasn't just battling remnants inside myself anymore. I was facing new, unpredictable physiological changes. But I had faced fear and won. The important thing now was to keep moving forward. No compromises, no hesitation. A long journey lay ahead. But as we stepped out of the lab and into the world once more, I felt the air shift around us. The ground beneath trembled slightly. Far in the distance, shadows moved beneath the surface, like something ancient was stirring. The danger hadn't passed. It had only evolved. The question now wasn't just whether we could find a cure, it was whether we could find it before they found us. The fight was far from over. Part 10. The Epicenter. 3 days after leaving the lab, Dr. Cole and I reached the southern outskirts of the city, once home to a government-run biological research facility. Now it was a quarantine zone, sealed off with metal barricades and plastered with layers of warning signs. The place was known as OMEGA Station. According to the remaining data, this was the exact location where the first parasitic specimen was discovered, extracted from a small meteorite that crashed to Earth over a year ago. It was later cultured and experimented on under the codename VX-17. VX-17 was once hailed as a scientific breakthrough, a symbiotic organism capable of cellular regeneration, life extension, even cognitive enhancement. But then, its primal instincts awakened. As we entered the facility, the stench of chemicals and scorched metal hit me like a wave. Long hallways lined with broken doors, soot-stained ceilings, and dried blood splattered everywhere served as haunting reminders of what had happened here. "We need to get to sub-level -3, room 27. That's where the original specimen is stored," Dr. Cole said quietly. I nodded, clutching the electric gun he'd given me the day before. Even though the parasite within me had been neutralized, I still sensed a faint echo in my mind, as if VX-17 was whispering from far away. We descended into the basement, guided by the dim flicker of emergency lights. But before long, strange noises echoed ahead. The sound of shuffling feet on concrete, labored, raspy breathing, like someone, or something, was waiting. Then I saw them. 3 former staff members of the center, now grotesquely deformed, their skin pale green, eyes devoid of sclera, parts of their bodies fused into the strange biomass clinging to the walls and ceiling. They were no longer human, but living hosts for VX-17. "Don't shoot," Cole whispered. "They respond to sound." We held our breath, moving slowly past them like shadows. But I accidentally dropped a test tube from my backpack. The sound echoed like thunder. All 3 creatures shrieked and whipped around. "Run!" Cole shouted. We bolted down the narrow hallway, my heart pounding like a war drum. One of them chased close behind, its once human face now distorted, mouth agape, tongue extended like a grotesque tentacle. I turned and fired. A bolt of electricity surged, sending it into violent spasms. It collapsed, twitching. Thick black blood splattered the wall. We finally reached room 27. Inside, dozens of test tubes were stored in cryo chambers. And at the center, in its own isolated container, VX-17, the original specimen. Cole looked at me. "We have 2 choices. 1, destroy it, end this forever. 2, keep it, study it, and try to develop a cure." I stared at the specimen, a mass of red-violet slime shimmering like living crystal. It was strangely beautiful, like a creature from another world. But I knew that beauty carried death. "Cole," I said, "if we keep it, someone will try to use it, just like last time." He remained silent. I drew my electric gun without hesitation. A bolt of lightning shattered the cryo chamber, burning through the test tubes. A small explosion erupted. We stepped back as smoke and flickering lights engulfed the room. "So, it's really over," he murmured. I wasn't sure, but at least we had stopped VX-17, for now. We left Omega Station as the blood-red sun began to rise on the horizon. The streets were still in ruins, but the air felt different. Quiet, but no longer lifeless. The end?